Today we're going to be talking about the costs associated with doing a layout, setting the stakes, and we're going to have two scenarios. Scenario number one is we're using conventional gear, so transits, levels, tapes, total stations. The second scenario is we're actually paying someone to do it, like a surveyor. And the purpose of this video is to show you how much faster and how much more money and how many more jobs you can do if you're using GPS gear instead. So let's get into it. But this is scenario number one. So this is you're doing the work yourself with conventional instruments. Now we're going to calculate our ROI, or return on investment. The way we're going to calculate that is we're going to do time saved times the hourly wage that you either pay yourself or you pay your employees times a year. So how many weeks you work in a year. Then we're going to subtract the cost of our GNSS equipment. So in one scenario, we had a guy that saved 7 hours a week. So he was doing it for 10 hours, then he went down to 3 hours. So he saved 7 hours a week. Now he was paying his guy $60 an hour, and they worked all year round. They were down in Alabama. So they worked all year round, but we're gonna say he has 2 weeks of vacation. So it's times 50. So with that, that would be $21,000. So this is the amount of man hours he saved in a year. By comparison, the gear that he bought was a network rover, which starts at around 10K. So with that math, he paid for his gear in 6 months. And then after that, it was just gravy. So we can see from this kind of a thing that the gear usually pays for itself in a relatively quick manner, and then you're that much more efficient moving forward. So this next equation is if you're a guy who has a surveyor out to do all the layout. Obviously we want a survey to do any legal survey work, but if they're just coming and putting the stakes back where they already were because you had a bobcat hit them over or some kid moved them or something like that, that's very expensive nuisance really quickly. So the second scenario is from another customer that we had in North Carolina, and he bought GPS gear for that second reason. He was having kids mess with his survey sites all the time, and they were just taking out the stakes, and then he would have to get a surveyor back, and it was very expensive every single time. So with that, our equation today, and I apologize for my handwriting, but survey cost per visit times the amount of visits in a year. So dead simple equation. So for this one guy that we're talking about in North Carolina, it was $500 per visit. It was just a flat fee. Now, a lot of surveyors are gonna have different fees depending on the size of the job. This guy had a flat rate with his local surveyor. Anyhow, he needed him out every single week. So that was 50 weeks in a row. Now, if I can do basic math, that's 25 grand. You can see how that can add up just for a nuisance. You don't need a surveyor for this work. The surveyor would rather do survey work than just replacing the stakes, but this became a $25,000 nuisance really quickly. So he bought a network rover again. Again, that's about 10 grand USD, and away went all of the pain and suffering. So my cameraman just asked me a good question. He said, did you make it clear to the viewer that the guy can do the work by himself and doesn't need a surveyor to restake his pins? Good question. No, you don't need a surveyor to do that. Your surveyor is already going to initialize where all of your important control points are, and they can send you the file. It's going to be like a DWG or DXF file that will show you where all your stakes need to go. And then you can just follow with the GPS, put them right in that position. Good question, cameraman. So to reiterate, what we learned today is it takes about 6 months to pay off your gear just with time lost. But that doesn't account for all the extra revenue you can generate from expanding your repertoire, doing more jobs, doing jobs faster than you normally would, which allows you to get more revenue because you're doing the same jobs in a shorter amount of time. So if you're gonna take two things away from this video, it's this. Option A, you're using conventional gear and you replace for GPS. Option 2 is you're using a surveyor for work that a surveyor really doesn't need to do. In both scenarios, you pay for it in, at the very least, 6 months, but most of our guys are much quicker than that. So give me a call. My name's Ray with Benchmark. I'd love to help you get into this and give you all the training you need. Talk to you soon.